Welcome to Voice of Reason.
A very good day to you. Welcome to yet another interesting episode of this program, courtesy Voice of Reason. This evening, I have with me an elder statesman. He is Chief Bolaji Ogunseye. He would simply prefer to be referred to as a Mr. We're going to be looking at the issue of restructuring on the program this evening. A very good evening to you, sir.
Good evening.
It's good to have you.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about restructuring. Do you agree that restructuring will save Nigeria from disintegration?
Yeah, eventually. If we do, we would have staved off something that's bound to happen eventually, otherwise. The polity is too hot. It's too tensed up. Do you understand? And this is not just because people need to have their region and everything. It's because of misgovernance, incompetence, leadership that cannot provide a good society, that cannot make Nigerians live good, live well, live productively, that cannot help those who produce value in the economy to be at ease, to operate at ease. So, restructuring would, it's not a panacea to all ills or anything of the sort, but it will give room. It will give room for everybody to expand to the limit of their capabilities and their possibilities in an atmosphere that is devoid of anxiety. Because look, a part of the country, a culture in the system is giving everybody else cause for anxiety. So if we restructure that anxiety producing entity within Nigeria, will be out of business. They will just mind their own region and do what they have to do. So yes, I'm voting for restructure. I've voted always for restructuring.
So, in the context of Nigeria, what do you think restructuring is? What's your understanding of restructuring?
Means, quite frankly, freeing every part of the country to be able to develop sustainably, honestly. That's what it means. Freeing every part of the zone and region of the country and to be able to develop sustainably. Because right now, there are things that certain regions would rather not be doing. But, they either have to do it or have to pay for it, while some other regions are doing it and things like this, I mean, look, about about 4 zones or 5. No, 4 zones out of 6 zones, literally, are carrying the administration of this country at the middle level, where you have the technocrats, the officials, the administrators. Just 4 zones out of 6 are carrying it. That's not, forget about fairness, that's not efficient. It's not efficient. In other words, this thing can move 10 times a day, but it's moving 4 times, 5 times. That's what we're talking about. We need to free the system to be able to function productively and sustainably.
What to you are the pros and cons of restructuring?
Well, the pros are a lot more than the cons. So that's a happy beginning, and arguably happy ending. Otherwise, look, if you're doing something, it's not working. If you come with an alternative that is well thought out and it's in relation to the context and content of what you're doing that is not working, you are in a good place. So, I mean, look, I don't want to go into, oh, yes, but let me just give one critical one. Every zone, region in this country will be put in a situation where they have to compete for excellence with the other, which is to say, as you compete for excellence, it means you are raising your own game. You are improving the condition of people in your zone. You are improving the condition of children, especially girls and women, and you are bringing them into the productive dynamics of your own region. Look, right now you have some regions where all the women don't go into the workplace, they just stay at home and things. If we restructure and they see how the other parts are doing, where both the male and the female are working, and they can see the progress, I believe that would ginger them to say, look, let us populate our working population. Let's bring more people in. Do you understand? Because these people, it's because they have more hands that they can achieve so much. Do you understand? Whereas here, all our women are being shut out of the workplace, and so the men are doing the work of 1 million people. Half a million men are doing the work of, and women are slightly more than us. So you can actually argue that in those sorts of environment, 48% of the population are laboring for 100%. It's not efficient. Actually, the efficiency argument is perhaps one of the strongest arguments for restructuring.
Okay, how can restructuring be achieved in the light of the skewed representation that we have, in the country, in the National Assembly? The impression is that the northern part of the country, in terms of numerical strength, stands at an advantage. And so anything from the south is easily shut down. How can restructuring then be achieved, since it appears the south is the one clamoring for restructuring?
I forget how they say it. There's something like, those who make something impossible, they make revolution or something inevitable. Hey, if another 20, see, the point is this: our younger generation, my own children and grandchildren, they won't stand for all this nonsense. They won't. If you are holding their hands because you don't want to move, because they should, they will. Look, at some point, we will break apart, or everybody will move to their father's hut. If
That's disintegration.
yeah, that's what will happen. Those who make restructuring impossible, those who make true federalism impossible, they are going to produce disintegration in there. And there's nothing bad about that. If people want to be free, you cannot forever stop them from being free. Free to be efficient, free to develop more, to develop faster, to bring more people into the workplace. Come on. We'll do it. We'll do it.
Okay.
I know they will not always be this powerful. The time will come when they're so vulnerable to the point that it's just a walk in the park. We just go away. They won't solve. I don't want to say certain things. Even now, given certain contexts, country will disintegrate yesterday. Only that those who say they want it, they don't want to make the moves to ask for restructuring, a very strong tone, and in high voice, or else. But we'll get there one day.
Okay, so there is this.
Unless we restructure.
There is this call for constitutional conference. There was one in 2014 nothing has been done. So there are a lot of people, the call for a national or constitutional conference, let me call it constitutional conference, is gaining traction. What's your take along the line of ethnic nationalities? This call for national conference. What's your take on
That
it?
all of us together
Yes,
should convene in a conference.
exactly. To
Yeah.
talk about the way forward.
We did one before, and I'm afraid President Jonathan wasted the value in that. All he needed to do was to sign it. But he was, in my view, he was arguably playing politics with that. You also need to wait for, the next election. And they finished that thing. Election was still almost a year away, or 9 months. Sign this thing. Sign it. And I'm sure he probably regrets that now. There was no need for that holding on and until they came and kicked him out. And those who will never want all the fairness provisions. Do you understand? In the report of that conference, those who were like these people, then they took over power and they killed it. Jonathan killed it first. So when President Jonathan killed it, the electoral outcome after that ensured this burial. Yeah.
So, what are the obstacles to you as we wrap up? What are the obstacles to restructuring?
To be honest, there aren't any obstacles other than those who hold power exclusively in Nigeria, who hold control of the critical organs of government, don't want it. That's all. They don't want fairness. And they have the power to stop or block our march in that direction. Even though I think it's ignorance, they do not know that if they're ready to work very hard, if they're ready to go after their own region and turn things around, it's also in their interest. Perhaps, arguably, more in their interest than in the South. But we've gone some way. Do you understand? We've gone some way. People are going to school in all rural parts of the south of southern Nigeria. Go to some villages, see 2 schools in a small community. You know what I mean? We're doing fairly well. Like I said before, our only challenge is that we're not allowed to thrive. So, another advantage is that we're not allowed. Those who are stopping it are afraid. They are afraid because of the almost certain eventual and certain loss to freebies, so free resources. A region like Lugard wanted is feeding another region of Nigeria, and those were the words of Lugard. He wants the woman of means to be married to the man without means and things. We in the South were the woman of means, and that was a disaster. That was a disaster. The history shows that the British colonialists were sympathetic with the North, while they were, rather somewhat, they were hostile to the South. Maybe because we were less collaborative with them, wanted independence, wanted to develop, along the lines of their own society. They didn't want Western, didn't want to evolve into a Western society. They wanted to be like Sudan and all those places, things. Who wanted to be Western. And that's what makes it doubly painful. We that, stood up, we that wanted to associate with the British governance administrative ethos, that we have copied their culture, we have taken their religion and everything. They were the ones they were treating, shabbily. Sometimes you wonder whether that's a good lesson. for people who are embracing the West fully. Do you understand? Those who didn't care about them, who culturally and everything were looking in another direction, they are the ones they favored. And there is that pattern all over the world, Lebanon, and everywhere. So, yeah.
This country is not restructured as soon as possible. What do you foresee?
More economic, you know what I mean? More economic downward economic trend, downward social and security trends, but more importantly, we'll be prolonging. Do you know what's happening in the North? 30 million children who don't go to school. They are not going to be PAMSEC 20, 30 years from now. They are going to be disruptive. They are going to be disruptive. If the North wants to cook 20 million children for their own future, let them go. We live, we don't want that. We're educating our children.
But aren't you, okay, what they are losing in that regard, aren't they getting it in the security apparatus of this country? They are enlisting massively. The South is not.
30 million children. Even if you follow, I don't know, 14 million, 13 million, 14 million, 12 million, you know,
It's still within.
the data are not,
but
consistent. That's a huge number. Do you understand? My point is, don't breed that number to come and blight my life in my region. Because we will say they are Nigerians, so they can go anywhere. So they will come to Lagos State and Osun State and everywhere state and come and mess us up. And some people are deliberately cooking them. I'm educating my own children here. You are educating your own in Osun. Then some people insist they have to come and, mix it up with this unwholesome. No. We shouldn't stand for that. If they don't agree to restructuring, we must fight and push for restructuring. Of course, I'm not assuming that all the southern politicians will have the same focus, and some of us are selling out to them. Some of us, even if they want what we want, they are not saying it, they are saying something else because they are looking out for themselves instead of looking out for their society. But I can't see any other way. If we don't restructure, we have said before, what is going to happen? And it will happen.
I must say a big thank you to you, Chief Ogunseye, for your time on the program. I'm sure you want to, give this country a word of prayer.
Pray. I'm not a prayer person that much. I do pray, but it's not in that Nigerian sense. It's show off, show boat, and all these things. But yes, God helps those who help themselves. My prayer is that we would choose to help ourselves as a nation of many tendencies, cultural, philosophical worldview. So my prayer is we choose to help ourselves together as a country so that God can help us.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time on the program. It's been interesting talking to you. Thank you. I hope when next we approach you, you oblige us.
If you pay 10 billion naira, I will oblige you.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. That's why we're going to drop the curtain on the program today. Next time, expect an interesting episode just like this. I am Anulu Apomarinde. See you next time.